Well, the first thing I'm going to do is for our audience watching around the world, I'm going to say thank you very much for tuning in and taking time out of your day or your evening to listen to this episode, which is episode 518 of the Simply Inspired podcast. And today I'm very honored and very humbled to welcome to the show Dr. Deepak Subedi. Hopefully, I'm saying that the right way, but maybe I'm not. And this gentleman who you will be hearing from today is a Himalayan shaman, the author of Veils of Fire, a best-selling book about tantric practices and the spiritual lineage that he is part of. We will find out more about that very soon. And the CEO of Ekaji Vibe. Now, hopefully, I'm saying that the right way, Ekaji. Maybe I'm not. I spend more time practicing the pronunciations than I do preparing questions or anything else. But in short, Dr. Deepak will have his own definitions for what he does, and we will let him speak about that. All I'm going to say is that this is a man who has a profoundly positive impact on the health, well-being, and spiritual development of so many people around the world through the teachings that he does. Also, I believe that black magic removal is also a part of his practice, so we'll find out more about that. Many things. So, Dr. Deepak, my friend, it is such an honor to be here, and I will bow as best as I can. I'm holding the phone with my other hand, but I will bow as best as I can. And namaste to you. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Namaste to you, sir. I'm deeply honored to be here with your global audience. It is beautiful to connect with the souls around the world who are genuinely seeking authentic spiritual wisdom rather than the sugar-coated version, flooding the social media. After 22 years walking the ancient path guided by Ma Kali and Guru Gorakhnath, I have learned that truth doesn't always come, wrapped in comfort, but is always come wrapped in a transformation. And that has happened is my life. So as a Himalayan shaman, starting my life from Nepal, and right now I'm here in India. And after transforming the life of so many people, and after looking a lots of platforms, what excites me most about platform like your is the opportunity to cut through the spiritual entertainment and offer something real. The kind of wisdom that our ancestors preserved through blood, sweat, and a sacred fire. Today, I hope we can explore some of the deeper mysteries that what a spiritual teacher won't touch, why authentic spiritually often feel like death before birth, rebirth, why Divine Mother Kali appear in our darkest moment, and fierce, compassion, and the difference between the spiritual bypass and a genuine transformation. Your audience deserve more than, a motivational course. They deserve the raw, unfiltered truth that actually help them, that actually liberated. And really, thank you so much for creating a space. And after so many of follow-up, right? Okay, all this up and downs again, and so many times where we can have a real conversation. Really, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I mean, yes, it is very true, my friend, that it has taken a little bit of time for us to connect like this, but now we are here, and that is all that matters. Now, shortly, we will find out a number of things about your life, about your practices, but I would actually like to start with something because your book is doing very, very well. Your book is selling very well, and it is another method of this raw and unfiltered truth that you were just talking about, cutting through the entertainment and so forth. Because as I understand, it is very, very powerful. So I'm actually going to start with the book, and then we can talk a little bit about your life. But because it's selling so well, and this is all happening right now, I've chosen to begin with that. And I believe that you actually have a copy there. So can you tell us a little bit about your book and the ways in which you believe it will and does help people? Thank you.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. So this book, here you can see, it's a very big book, right? Okay. A book for more than 600 pages. And recently, it has become the Amazon bestseller. So as you said, you are absolutely correct in this sense. You are absolutely right. This book is resonating
Yeah.
powerfully because people are starving for the authentic spiritual truth in the world, you know, downing in the spiritual entertainment. Wheels of Fire, a journey through tantric rituals, isn't just another spiritual book you read for inspiration and you forget. This is a blood soaked manual written in the cremation ground, and it has been prepared. Right? It take me more than 22 years of direct communication with the forces that most people only whisper about. And why it is connecting so deeply with the people is that this book is no sugar coating. While other book, they promise, easy enlightenment, 2-minute noodles, right? Okay. This reveals the brutal beauty of a real transformation. I wrote every single word surrounded by the ashes of the illusion on the cremation ground. Second thing, it is about raw tantric wisdom. This isn't the commercialized tantra sold in weekend workshop. This is the authentic science of consciousness that master like Gorakhnath, master like my Guru Krishna Lama, master like my Guru Ajay Nath Agori lived and they died for. And the third important thing, it contains the practical sadhana, practical steps. Every chapter contain actual practice, not theories or feel good philosophy. They contain actual practice, but technique that will shatter your comfortable spiritual identity. And let me tell one more thing, what makes this dangerous and why it is selling so well is that it doesn't validate your current belief. It scatter them. People are buying this because they are already exhausted by the spiritual bypassing. They are done with love and light, and they keep them, trapping in that comfortable unconsciousness. They they want the real fire that transform them, not the fake light that is merely for the decoration. This book is a Kali herself speaking through the ink and paper, fierce and absolutely transformations. And that's why this book is here in front of you.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, I must say I deeply admire your passion, but also your authenticity, because as you say, the spiritual practices have become commercialized, but also more than commercialized, I would say there is a form of spiritual narcissism in a way, if you like, a spiritual self absorption in the sense that people hear what they want to hear, but not the truth. And the fact that you're cutting through that is very, very powerful and much needed. So that is a wonderful place to begin. Now, as you mentioned there, some of these practices today, in the time that we have, we will get a glimpse of them from you. But before we do, certain people will be a little bit curious about this because you were initiated into these practices at a very young age in your childhood. And I would like to speak briefly about that because, of course, some people are hearing this for the first time about you. And I must admit to being personally very fascinated about. I've read The Age of Three that you were initiated into some of these things. May we talk a little bit about your upbringing within these practices, and then we can move to the practices themselves. But let's talk a little bit about your early life first, please. Thank you.
Right. Well, so I feel myself very lucky that I was born on a lineage where there is a traditional of more than 1200 years, and where, so some of the spirits of some of the forest spirit or those masters of those forests or those deities, they will possess some of your family members, and they will give you that the divine wisdom or the power. And that was when I was 3. So my aunt and my relatives, they tell me about my own stories when I was young that I do not remember it myself. But whenever I meet them, they tell, when you were a very young boy, we ask you, who do you love? And I was surprised and then say, right, okay, I love. And then they say, do you love your father the most? And I say, no. Do you love your mother? I said, no. Brother and all those relatives? And I say, no. And then they surprisingly ask again, who do you love the most? And I said, the God. So that was as a very young age. And that period of time, I have a glimpse of some of my dreams. The glimpse that Devi Kali come to my dream, just like a small lady, just like a small friend, and she come to play with me. And I feel so lucky to see the same thing happening with my child. He is now 10 years old, and when he was around 3 to 4 years old, he used to tell a small black type of lady coming to his dream every day and play him and guide him. And then we say, so that is Devi Kali. So that was my background. And when I was around 14 years old, and that period of time, there was a deities on my family that all my family, all the family member, all my relatives, they used to worship the deities, and that deities possess me. And after possessing that, first 3 months, that was, I live like a superstar life. Why superstar life? Because I can tell them everything. I can tell them about the past, about the future, and about the present, what is the wrong is happening with them. And even I could tell them when they are going to have marriage, when they are going to have their children, when they will buy their first house, first car, and even at what date, what month, what second they are going to die, and how exactly they are going to die. So first 3 months, I was living a superstar life because every people were coming to me early in the morning at 4 a.m. To know about the future. And even when I go to the school, all my friends become get together, right? Okay, they circle me around them, and every time they ask, right? Okay, when they are going to have married, will they become rich in their life? Will they become famous? Will they get name, fame, or will they get that girlfriend or not? Right? Okay, and all those questions, and even they ask me what are the questions will be coming in the examination, final examination. So first 3 months, I was so happy. But later on, I understand one thing. Many people has a two different faces. They say something in front of me and they think something behind my back. And with that power, the power of that deity, I can listen to them. I can sense them, what they're talking about me, what they're thinking about me. And suddenly, a moment come in my life when my friend, true friend, Santosh, and his brother, they were just 14 years old. And I tell them, I want them not to go to the special path where I told them, right, okay, please don't go that way. And then suddenly they did it. So it is like, that was like, right, okay, it is not like the, right, okay, the power of an ancestral power, right, okay. And I could tell people about the entire life story when they are married, have children, even the exact date and manner of their death. The power was, right, okay, intoxicating, terrifying, and complete beyond my own control. But what broke me? I told my best friend Santosh not to ride his bicycle on a specified day. He ignored my warning, took another friend, his brother, and both died in exactly the same way I has forced me. That night, I realized the terrible weight of a real spiritual power. This wasn't a game or a gift. It was a responsibility that could cross a young soul. I was just 14, watching my friend funerals, dead bodies, praise, knowing I could have prevented it, but couldn't force them to listen. So I made a choice that haunt me to this date. I asked my guru to remove the power completely. But no, you don't choose the path, but the path chooses you. And again, I meet my guru, Guru Krishna Lama. He come to my life. I tell him to remove this power completely. Then he did some rituals and the power has vanished and gone. But that period of time, Nepal was going through those civil war. There was a fight between the government and the Maoists. There was a fight between the government and the communists. And there are so many young ladies was being sold, right? Just like a human trafficking was were there. And every year, hundreds and thousands of Nepalese ladies or the girls has been sold out the Bombay, to Mumbai, to the Delhi, to the Kolkata, and even to the those areas in the Arab. And I get the volunteer from UNICEF and those organizations to go to those places where I could teach them about the human trafficking so that I can prevent those people to be careful about them. And many people were afraid to go to those places. It was reason because, so that was a epicenter of that civil war. But for me, so there was another agenda. It was, they offer me double the salary of a bank manager. They offer me triple the salary of a headmaster of a school. And I was around 16 years old and just I had completed my +2 and I get this opportunity and that money attracted me. So I started going there. And after that, I realized all the whole daytime, we talked about human trafficking, we guide them, we tell them what are their, all the consequences, what all those type of as a traffickers do. And the evening, all those foreigners, they will visit every shaman in the village and they ask the mantras, the original process by giving the dollars. And As being a translator, I have to understand them before teaching them. So that's why I told you, right? Okay, I didn't choose the path, but the path chose me again. And that's why, right? Okay, right now I'm here. So because this path has chosen me, because Kali has chosen me.
Makes a lot of sense and a remarkable journey that you've lived, and the power. I mean, I can feel it. This doesn't surprise me in a way because I felt your energy around me. For example, earlier today, actually, I went to bed last night and I thought, okay, I'm going to see you today. Maybe I will have a dream. Sometimes I have dreams. And actually, I didn't have a dream. I felt it when I was getting up in the morning. I felt your energy, and then I felt I was worried at one point. I thought, hey, have I got the correct time for us to talk? And then I felt your energy say yes, like I will be there, kind of thing. So it doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, it's amazing to hear about your development and the human trafficking as well. I understand this because where I live in Cyprus, there are many Nepalese people here. It's another story for another day, but I understand some of these things. So you mentioned earlier, coming to the actual question that I would like to ask, that you have spent time, as you put it, dealing with these forces that people only whisper about. And I suppose one of the things I would like to know, and people would like to know, especially in the Western world, is if they are having experiences with different forces, positively or negatively, how they can begin to control this. Now, I'm aware that of two things. First of all, that's a big question, but I'm putting this for people not initiated. And second of all, anyone who wants to know more, they need to read your book. So I'm going to say to the audience, guys, to know this in depth, read the book. But today we are getting a little overview, if you like, an insight. So, with regards to that, in my own life, I have experienced both positive and negative forces, things trying to help me, also things trying to stop me. And frankly, I don't know what it means. And I think that a lot of people have this. I've spoken to a lot of people who have this. Would you be able to share some insights on how we can begin to steer the path a little bit of these things that are happening to us, please, Dr. Deepak? Thank you very much.
Well, let us remember one very simple thing. In this universe, when the God has created everything, there is nothing good and bad. It is like you are you have a TV, I have a remote. I can control your TV. So if you can control it, every power is okay. And many times I see the people, and that doesn't surprise me. All my friends, right? Okay, there are so many people that doesn't surprise me at all. When two souls are meant to connect on this level, especially when one carries the ancient transmission, the energetic field, begin preparing both the parties long before the actual meeting, and that is what you have felt this morning.
Okay.
So what you experience is called the energy breathing in the Tantra tradition. The force I work doesn't recognize the time and the space the way our mind do. They begin weaving the connection the moment the intention is set. And you feel that shift because your consciousness was already being prepared for this transmission. So now let us go to the another thing, right? Okay. why authentic spiritual work is so different from entertainment spirituality is that real master doesn't share just the information. They transmit the energy field that being transforming you before you even realize what is happening. The gurus on the Himalayas, and my gurus used to tell me, the gurus call the student through the echoes, through the ether, through the sky, through the cosmos before they meet in the flesh. So what you felt was a Kali herself preparing the space for the truth to be transmitted. Now, so let us go to what is right. Okay, nowadays there are so many people who are facing about both the energies. So can you imagine a world where you are only happy and never be sad? Where only joy, right? Okay, and only the daytime, not a night. So that is literally not possible. For a balance, all those things, energies, either there is a masculine energy or the feminine energy, either a positive energy or a negative energy. So that is a part of a nature. And that is like a circle. It will go. Sometime you become the positive itself and sometimes you become the negative itself. So on a tantra, we never tell them this energy is good or bad. Any energy you can control, that is positive for you. Any energy that you cannot control, that is negative for you. For example, suppose someone did some negative things on me, and then I evoke Devi Kali and I pray to her, dear Ma, right? Okay, this person or this energy is disturbing me, and she had started working on her way. Now, can you tell? So the Devi Kali herself is a good or bad? She is good for me, but bad for that person. So tantra or energy is like a weapon. It's like a weapon. If the weapon is on the hand of a terrorist, it will be dangerous. They will kill the innocent lives, innocent people. But if that is in a hand of a soldier who protect us, so let us not blame that weapon. Who is using it? Who is manipulating it? And for a child, that the child who doesn't know about any good thing or a bad thing, the child will never face anything. Only the person who has the belief, this energy is good, this energy is bad. For them, only so that the effect will be there more. So to get that real transformation, we have to be on the fire, the wheels of a fire on a cremation ground. It means, right, okay, where everything will finish. Every good thing will finish and every bad thing will finish and everything will become the ash. Everything will become the Vasma one day, and that everything is created by that supreme God. So whatever you believe on, whatever your religious background is, whatever your spiritual background is, it doesn't matter what is the name, but that is the same element, it is the same essence that has created everything. And when it has created everything, how can it be good and bad? It is up to us how we perceive it.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense as a fundamental change of perception or perspective, I should say, that I think a lot of people have. But to go deeper into this a little bit, because to explain to you something as well, Dr. Deepak, that I feel is very important. I create these to I'm going to say bring people closer to God is the best description, or bring people closer to what I regard to be the light or the positivity. I mean, these are just words, but in other words, it's or at the very least to make people aware that it even exists in the first place, regardless of the name that you use. And so my question here is a big question again, because I understand what you're saying about, for instance, you can't have night without day, or you can't have high without low, or you need the balance. I believe this as well. But how can people be sure that they are using their spiritual practices for good uses, in the sense that, for example, you have said about the human trafficking. So you have said that you're using your powers, your gifts to fight what I'm going to say is an evil force, or a very negative force, what those people are doing. Now, people listening to this may not do it on that level, but there are small things that they can do on a day-to-day basis that contribute to the greater good of the world, if you like. And I feel that when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, you know what, I have so many things I want to ask you. We won't have time for all of them. But that one is a very important one for me, as to how people can, if they have a gift like this, or if they're starting to develop it, or even if they're quite advanced with it, how they can use it for the best possible purpose. Because this also, in my mind, connects with what you're saying about this not being entertainment, but this being actual power for not only personal transformation, the ashes, as you say, but also the transformation of others, the transformation of the world. So I would like to get your advice for how people can use their gifts in this positive way to begin to help people, if that makes sense, the direction that I'm going with this, please. Thank you.
This is the question that separate authentic spiritual practice from the spiritual entertainment. You see, most people approaches spiritually asking, what can I get? But the real question is the one that determines whether your practice serves light or feeds the darkness is, what am I willing to sacrifice? Here is the brutal truth about the spiritual power. Any ability, any gift, any spiritual enlightenment or attainment that inflates your ego is automatically serving the shadow. The moment you use spiritual practice to feel superior, the moment you use spiritual practice to feel special or separate from other, you have crossed into what we call spiritual materialism. In the Kali tradition, we have a simple test. Does this practice make me more humble or more arrogant? One thing. Does it increase my compassion or my judgment? Am I using to heal or to control? Does it serve my ego or dissolve it? The small daily choices you mention are everything. When you feel anger towards someone, do you send them healing energy or cause them mentally? Do you use your meditation to find forgiveness or to feel superior? Do you pray for their highest good or secretly wish for their downfall? Real spiritual practice means choosing the hardest path moment by moment, blessing those who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because hatred poisoned you. Speaking truth, even when lies will benefit you, because integrity is your spiritual foundation. Serving without recognition, because ego feeding, they want the certificate, they want the picture, they want all those things and all this, right? Okay, so what we see, so that isn't a service at all. The divine Mother Kali tests us constantly through the small moments. Every reaction, every choices, every thought is either feeding our evolution or our downfalling, or our, what do you call it, devolution. Evolution, either
Yes.
it is feeding our evolution or our devolution.
This makes a lot of sense. Yes, I have observed this, that the intention behind an action or a thought or a deed is more important, or at least equally important, to the actual action. But I think that people overlook the small things, but it is a very powerful lesson that you have shared here. Now, I would also like to ask you as well, because as I've said today, it is important for these things to be practically applicable and something that people can do. And one of the other things I notice is that when we sit together now, your energy is very clear and very bright, obviously. But I feel that when you work with people on removing the negative energies, the black magic, this sort of thing, how does that aspect work? Because I've met people who are very skilled with the meditation and with mantras, and I interview people different different backgrounds, and everything. But this black magic aspect is new to me, to be honest with you. Although I believe that I have felt the effects of it in the past from certain family members, let's say. But that's another story. But how does it get to people, and how can a person begin to remove it if they are feeling affected? Because the reason I'm asking this is that, again, if people want to do good work in the world, I believe that some other people look at them and think, okay, I'm, jealous, or they feel something. I say, I'm going to try to stop this person. So I believe that if we can share a little bit about black magic removal, it's very valuable for people to serve God in a more efficient way by clearing that from their path. That's why I'm asking. So may we discuss this topic a little bit as well, please, Dr. Deepak?
This is a beautiful question, sir. And I really thank you so much, because there are thousands of people who have been suffering with this. And I get messages from West almost every day to remove the black magic. And I tell them few small, simple ritual. If they can remove it by themselves, they don't need me, or they don't need my help. After trying all those things, and if they had really believe all those black magic is really affecting their life, then finally I'm there to help them. Now let us understand few things. 50% of the cases that the black magic comes, that is not the real black magic, but it is a placebo. 50%. So out of 100 people, if they tell you they're affected by the black magic, so remove the 50%. And you will see hardly, I mean, almost, right? Okay, more than 90% of the people, they are the one who could not success in their life, for being victim of something. They have lots of grief in their life. We had the past painful memories, but the past traumas, and they believe, right? Okay, They wanted to put that responsibility of that unsuccessful life to someone else energy for something. And that's why their mentality starting from their childhood, right? They start, maybe I'm unsuccessful because of someone else. I'm unsuccessful because of someone an energy. So let us remove those 50%. Now, so I'll give you some of the examples. If you are physically completely fit and still you don't have any children, it can be the possibility of maybe of a black magic. And that cases here in Nepal and India, that's too much. If you are completely fit and fine and you are pregnant, right? Okay, and without any reason, if you get a miscarriages, this is the second thing. If work you do and a credit was taken by someone else, every time, right? Okay, you finish some work, or maybe, right? Okay, you are 90, 95%, 99%, and then suddenly something comes and that work vanishes. It cannot be always coincident. It can be coincident one time, it can be coincident 2 times. But if it is happening more than that, you have to understand something is wrong about it. Third thing, if you either sleep too much, either too less, and you still did not feel that healthiness or that physical body, feel that there is something else again. Without sudden thing, your mind started to, right, okay, feel like a blank, and then you could not speak. If you start seeing someone energy, if you can hear their sound, if you can sense something is moving around you, if you can listen to someone is whispering you, if something is around your house, or maybe, right, okay, you can feel their presence. Now you have to be careful. So there are few simple steps that anyone from any background, any religious background, any spiritual background, regardless of they know about this or not, they try this, some of the very simple remedies, and you can see the huge difference within few days. Number one thing, you can take sea salt on your hand and then chant Om Krim Kali Kai Nama, ya fir Kali, right? Okay, just and remember Devi Kali, and with that sea salt, touch your entire physical body, entire, right? Okay, with that sea salt in your hand, and then do it anti-clockwise 21 times and flush it in a washroom for few days, and see if your health has started changing, if your aura has started brightening up, if you get that confidence back, if you started, getting better. This is the one way that you can remove it, and it take a little time. So this is the one remedies. Next remedy is, I know it might be difficult in the West, but it is easy to do here in Nepal and India, right? Okay, take few red chilies and then do the same process, right? Okay, but after that, burn that chilies maybe outside of your house, or maybe balcony, or near the chimneys. And if you feel, if that the smoke, if that itching is too much, then there is not such much of the negativity. But if you feel by burning 3 or 5 chilies, and if that the smell is very, very less, remember, you are being affected by the negativity. This is the second way. Now, third way, and it is the most important thing, anyone can do it. If you feel like yourself, maybe sitting, right, okay, on a ground, and imagine yourself, there is a Devi Kali in front of you, and as if you are sacrificing yourself, and your whole physical body is dying with that fire, and you are, right, changing yourself into the ashes, and offer that ashes to the Devi Kali. Why this is so important? It is said that in a Kali Tantra, for a human life to happen, we take more than 84 million incarnations before becoming the human. And maybe the black magic, so that doesn't affect your soul. That does not affect your spirit. They affect your physical body, because this physical body is been made by the Pancha Mahabhutas of 5 elements. And when you do this visualization when you evoke Devi Kali and when you sacrifice yourself. During that period of time, you are offering that black magic to Devi Kali and telling that black magic, to Devi Kali, Devi Kali, I'm offering this black magic on your feet. Now take this as your food and destroy it. Just like I am becoming the ashes, destroy all of it. Simple. Because here you are not harming who did the black magic on you. You are only changing that energy. You are thinking positive for them also, but you are only removing the negativity from yourself.
I understand. So on a fundamental level, we're still controlling our responses to the magic more than the magic itself. But we can also control the magic. That makes a lot of sense. So when you deal with people in these cases, as you mentioned, you have to assess if they're blaming other people, for example, because as we know, blame really hinders spiritual development, because for spiritual development we have to go within very much. How do you assess the difference between if someone is suffering with a mental illness or if they are suffering with an actual magic? Because I have to be careful that I believe the magic, of course, is true, but I've also met people, when they're hearing voices and things like that, when it's more of a physical thing, it's more of a chemical thing, and they need different type of help. But then in some cases they need help spiritually and in some mentally, and of course it's all connected, but there's still some differences there. I'm curious how you assess, for example, what you said about if they're blaming others. How you, if you don't mind me asking, how you actually tell, okay, this person is genuine, but this person is telling me something to try and justify, or to do something in that way. How do you assess the cases, please, Dr. Deepak?
Well, you see, when you practice on the cremation ground for a long period of time, you can sense the energy. You can sense the energy behind them. Either it is a good energy or a bad energy, either that telling that something truth or not. One thing is that. Next thing is you have to ask few questions to them, simple, about the different life, and then understand either this is their only the psychological way, or that is about a magic. The magic, the real spiritual power doesn't control us. We control how we respond to it, how we channel it, and most importantly, how we take the responsibility for it. And again, right, okay, when people come to me, especially those who claim they have been affected by the black magic or a negative energy, the first thing I look for it is, are they taking responsibility for their role in the life suffering, or they are just playing the victim? If someone say my life is ruined because my neighbor did a black magic, or maybe I know 70% of the time it is just like psychological projection. But if they say I attract difficult situation, help me understand why, and then we can do the real work. So there is a huge difference if they are blaming someone, or if they are taking the responsibility or want to really solve it. Because who always blames someone, maybe we can remove this case. But again, same thing will happen to their life again, and they will start blaming other person. And again, right, okay, maybe after 2 or 3 years, maybe, right, okay, they don't like someone else, and they will start with the same thing again. The brutal truth about the blame is, blaming other for your spiritual state is equal to the spiritual immaturity. Taking responsibility for your energy is called a spiritual mastery. So acknowledging your role in attracting experiences is called the wisdom. Magic worker, they're the authentic tantrics, and we don't get courses easily because they understand the energy dynamic. It is like if suppose I have a I have like some type of magic with me. So that is like having a huge sum of money on my bank account. And if someone tell me something and I courses it, that means I'm getting the blank check to them. And that will directly deduct it from my bank account. And once I have, right, okay, for every people who did not agree with me, if I start giving the blank check, what will happen? So that's why those real worker or a real tantrics or real healer, they understand how this energy work and is this energy is dynamic. We know that what we send out, what we send to other will eventually return back to us 3 times minimum, threefold. We know that your internal state also determine what external energies can attract to you. The person who master their inner response to magic control the magic itself. So when people blame their problems on outside force, they're actually giving their power away to those very forces. Hope you notice the pattern in your own life. Time when blame kept you stuck versus taking responsibility set you free.
Oh yes, yes. I've personally experienced both sides. Although, I figured out very young that blame gets you nowhere. I mean, we go through. I think a lot of people go through a time where we're young and we're a bit angry with people, but I grew out of it quite quickly. But I see other people staying there, and so it's a good lesson for them, but it's a good lesson of controlling our internal responses. So the last couple of things that I would like to discuss with you, because I keep these a certain length so that people can enjoy and, as I've said, practically apply what they are hearing. Even if today they're mainly getting a change of perspective, that is still incredibly valuable. Now, when it comes to other daily practices that people can do to transform themselves. I mean, there would be a lot of things you can recommend, but if there's something simple like chanting or particular prayers that you would recommend, particular blessings or, things like this for people who are earlier on the spiritual path, I would like to get your recommendations, because a lot of people meditate, a lot of people do these practices that they've been taught, but again, it's still linked to entertainment, or at least it's linked to commercialization. Actually, I would say more common. It's very linked to, I do this because somebody wants me to go to their classes, and, they're making it more complicated on purpose so that I have to go for longer and, pay them more money, obviously, and all of these things. So if somebody wants to do a simple practice in a day and they want to build it up, but they also want to cut through some of these things, and if they are a little bit spiritually lost, I'm going to say, with, what's real and what's not, maybe you could give them a couple of simple things they could do to start, I'm going to say, flexing the real spiritual muscle, to start training the energy as well as the body and mind. Would you mind sharing one or two things with this? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now we get the practical goal. The daily practices that actually transform rather than just a comfort. Let me give you something simple but very powerful that anyone can do regardless of their spiritual background. And it is called a mirror practice. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, look directly into your own eyes in the mirror for around 3 minutes. Not at your hair, not at your face, but into your eyes. And ask yourself the simple 3 question. What marks am I planning to wear today? What marks am I planning to wear today? What truth am I avoiding? How will I serve something greater than my ego today? Yes. What marks am I planning to wear today? Number one. What truth am I avoiding? And how will I serve something greater than my ego today? This sounds simple, but it is terrifying. Most people cannot look into their own eyes for more than 30 seconds without looking away. Why? Because they are meeting their authentic self, not their social media persona. For those ready for something deeper, there is another practice. So before every meal, take 7 deep breaths and mentally offer the food first to your ancestor. Your ancestor, honoring those who come before you. Second, offer those to who are hungry. It will help you cultivating the compassion. And third, the divine source, to practice the gratitude and then only eat. This transformation, eating from unconscious consumption into conscious communications. Food become medicine, meal become meditation. And the shadow integration prayer every night before you sleep. Pray to divine. For me, I say to Mahakali, Divine Mother, show me the part of myself I rejected today. Help me embrace what I judge in other, for I see it because it lives in me. These aren't, feel good practice. They are surgical tools for self-transformation. They will make you uncomfortable, and that discomfort is the medicine.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. And I ask this question at this point for 2 reasons. One is because, as we've already said, I don't believe in entertainment, but people have to have the intellectual understanding, then the practical understanding. And if they've listened this far in this talk, then they obviously have some discipline, so they are more likely to apply what you're saying. But also because these truths are in your book, and so if people want to know the depth of them, they need to read it. And we don't want to give everything away here. We want to steer them in that direction. And that is true. And I don't always do that, but I know that your book comes from such an authentic place within you that people need to read it. And so this is also why I am asking at this time. Now, also, when it comes to people's trust in God, and these would be the last two topics. I think the last two topics. When it comes to the trust, I mean, people use different names as well, you know, and this is the thing. Some people just say it's God, some people the universe. People say about, for example, I've interviewed a few Krishna devotees, all different things. But regardless of the name you use, and I do feel that I say to people, it doesn't matter the name, but to connect more deeply and to gain more trust. Now, this is something that I'm sure you've seen this, but in your part of the world, people have more trust in God because you're brought up with it. Now, I don't mean to generalize anything here, but what you have in, for example, my part of the world is a lot of people have come to distrust the institutions. And I make a distinction here that that's very different to distrusting God. But they think that they can't trust God because they can't trust the way that certain people have twisted the message. But as you know, as a practitioner, that is very much the people. That is not God. They're two separate things. And even though this might sound a little bit strange, in my part of the world, I see this as a really big problem, basically, that people look at it and they think, okay, I believe in something, but I'm struggling with the institution. And I say to them, well, you don't have to worry about the institution. You have to worry about only your relationship with God. So if this is making sense, the direction I'm going, your daily practices for people to deepen their prayer, to deepen their relationship with God, because you've given some very interesting perspectives today. For example, offering the food. This is one. Offering the black magic itself away from you to the divine, to God. You know, you've given some very interesting perspectives. So then I'm thinking, okay, when you're praying, when you're speaking with God and doing these things each day, you mentioned the prayer before bed as well. You probably have a different perspective on what prayer really means than a lot of people understand it. And I would just like to discuss that briefly before we finish, if that makes sense, what I'm asking here. Thank you.
You have identified one of the greatest spiritual tragedies of our time. You are absolutely right. In the West, people have thrown out the divine baby with the institutional bathwater. They have confused corrupt messenger with the eternal messenger. And this is exactly what I see constantly. People say, I don't trust God. When what they really mean is, I don't trust the human who claim to represent God. But here is the revolutionary truth. Your relationship with the divine is direct. It doesn't need any middleman. It doesn't need any institution. It doesn't need any organization. In the Himalayas tradition, we have a saying, the mountain doesn't need permission from the valley to exist. The divine operates beyond the human institution. Kali doesn't care about you are attending the church or not. Kali doesn't care about if you are praying for her or not. Kali doesn't care if you are chanting her name or not. Kali doesn't care if you are going to the temple or not. The universe doesn't check your religious membership card. Truth doesn't require institutional validation. What you told the person is exactly right. We don't have to worry about the institution. You need to build your own relationship with the truth. Here is what I tell people who have been wounded by religious institution. Judge the ocean by its depth, not by the broken ship floating on its surface. The corruption of messenger doesn't corrupt the messages. The failure of a priest doesn't neglect the divine. And in my book, this Veil of Fire, I deliberately avoid those those type of language, institutional language, because I want people to experience the direct transmission, soul to soul, heart to heart, and with no corrupt middleman. Your relationship with the divine is like breathing, is immediate, intimate, and need no external permission. Have you found that when you help people bypass institution and go direct, their spiritual experience become more authentic? That is the answer.
Yes, yes, I have. I found that people, to answer your question there, Dr. Deepak, I found that it can be in phases. So sometimes when people begin a search, they're beginning a spiritual practice, it can be helpful to have association with other people, to be honest, when they're beginning. But as you sort of mature in our spiritual understanding, it becomes less necessary, and we realize that we are the temple, if you like, itself. So I would say that, for people who are beginning, my personal view is that yes, it can help you sometimes. It can help you to stay focused. And particularly, in my life, like, for example, I had to come out of a lot of bad associations and bad habits and things. And, and I hold my hand up freely to say yes. So I had to associate and stay very close with holy people at the time. But then now the understanding is deep, and the practice is, yeah, I'm quite deep into it. Not for as long as you, but for a long time. I realize that the temple is not necessary, and I go there sometimes of choice, but it's a daily practice. Like you said at the beginning, it's moment by moment, because that's the other thing that I see is that people do these things, they'll go to a church or they'll go to a temple, and then they'll try to be spiritual in that little bit of time, but then they go home and they behave differently, and they do ego, or they do something nasty to somebody, some unpleasant, and you think, okay, you were in church an hour ago, what are you doing now? You're different. So this is why I'm very passionate about the moment by moment self inquiry, the what you were saying about looking into your own eyes, and even more interestingly, I did that yesterday, um, for no reason that I'm aware of, the reason why. And then today I've spoken to you and you said that it's a good practice. So I'm going to do more of that. But anyway, to answer your question there, that is my view on the temples, churches, and all of these things. And I wanted to put that across because I also pray and meditate before I do an interview to say, please, can you guide me in the right direction here that people need to hear about the most? And that was one of the things that came to me is, and I'm writing about this currently, but at the same time, they said you need to speak about the disconnect between institutions and true faith. So there we are. There we are. Now, my last question for you, Dr. Deepak, is a very easy one because it is the question of if people have heard from you today and they have really enjoyed what they have heard and they wish to speak with you directly in some way or some form. Of course, they can read the book, and we've spoken about that. It's on Amazon. You've all seen the book, so everyone get your copies. But in terms of working with you, if people would like some sessions online or maybe to come and visit you in India or any of these things, what is the best way for them to approach this method of working with you directly, please?
Well, so that the easiest way that they can approach me is in from any social media. They can directly message me. My social media handle is the Himalayan Shaman, Dr. Deepak Subedi. It is on a YouTube, it is on a Facebook, it is on Instagram, it is on LinkedIn, it is on a TikTok. Anywhere they can message me, and me or my team will revert back to them. I, although living here in Gurgaon, India, but I travel around the world to teach these practices. So sometime you can meet me in Dubai, sometime you can meet me in Malaysia, sometime you can meet me in Singapore, or sometime you can even meet me on some part of Japan or somewhere else. So just let me know through the email or through my social media handle. Just send me the message, and me or my team will always contact you back and will tell you, because I mean, I first will always like to, right, okay, welcome every those people who are suffering and want to go deeper and who are genuinely wanted to go deeper.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you are very accessible and very authentic. And you mentioned at the very beginning, I'd like to close out with this. It's not really a question, but I would just want to say that it's very refreshing to meet someone like you who has remained humble and sincerely devoted to the path. Because all I'm going to say is that I've met a number of people who, like we were speaking about at the beginning, their ego has grown from, believing they are special, believing they have these practices, they can do special things. And so sometimes I reach out to them and you think, oh, okay, so it's like that. And it's a bit, well, it's a bit sad. But with yourself, you've remained so sincere and you sincerely want to help people and you tirelessly pursue this devotion of helping people, and it's a very beautiful thing. And I know you know that already, but it really is very, very refreshing, as they say, a breath of fresh air, as the saying goes. I would also like to thank you that I've personally learned a lot because, of course, I do learn as I share. So my motive is to share, but I learn as well. So I want to thank you for that. And I really believe that this will help a lot of people when I put it out there. And the beautiful thing about a podcast like this is it's timeless in the sense that somebody can watch it, say, the day we put it out or the week we put it out, but somebody could watch it, 5 years from now. I have podcasts out there from when I started doing this about 5 years ago, and people still watch them. And this is the thing about this type of post. It's out there, it's circulating. So if somebody's ready today, they can listen. But if somebody's ready in a year or two and they've gone through some more fire by that time, they can also listen and find it at that time because God will guide them to listen to this at the time that it is correct. So I also, that's why I love this format. But anyway, I really appreciate your time. It has been an honor beyond words, and I just want to thank you so, so much from my heart for taking the time to do this today.
So I'm honored and I feel so glad to see you. You are so humble, and the way that you ask the question is so authentic. You speak it from the experiences of your own and the experiences of the people around you. So this is the beauty of a tantric path, that the wisdom doesn't has any age. Is it become more deepens like a wine in the cosmic cellar. And when someone subtle upon your podcast years from now, burned by life fires and ready for the real medicine, Kalima herself will have guided them to that exact moment of the readiness that they have. So really, thank you so much. The Divine Mother Kali plant the seed of wisdom in this digital realm, knowing exactly when each soul will be ready to water them with the tears of a transformation. And really, thank you so much for this time. And really, thank you so much. Jai Mata.
My pleasure, my honor. And yes, as you say, thanks to Divine Mother Kali as well. And as I said before, people use different names, but I give thanks every day. And how she has saved my life that's a whole another story for another day. But yes, thank you so much again. I'm just going to take a picture of us talking, if that's okay.
Yes,
Just
yes, absolutely,
I
absolutely.
can
Yes.
post it and say
Yeah.
it coming soon. We've got that. Lovely. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will be in touch when I release this, and we'll go from there. Namaste, and thank you very much.
Namaste. Jai Jai Guru. Namaste. Thank you so much. Jai Mata.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.